Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hi everyone, this is episode 115 of Culture Bucket, and we are discussing episode 1 of season 6 of Black Mirror, Joan Is Awful. And I'm George, and with me is Alex. Hi Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you
Hi.
doing today, George?
I'm doing wonderfully well, thank you.
Good.
But before we get to the good stuff, I'd just like to remind you to please go and rate and review us everywhere you can. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, etc., etc. Tell your friends about us, get people listening, we'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you for more full-sized normal episodes after our summer vacation. Before we get into talking about the episode, let's have a brief recap of our independent views on Black Mirror
Yeah.
leading up to this, because this is the 6th season of Black Mirror. It's been running for quite a while. Started out on Channel 4, moved over to Netflix, has been through, as an anthology show, it's been through a lot of different styles and variations over the years. Very famously, the very first episode, the national anthem, posits a dystopian future world in which the Prime Minister could be forced to have sexual intercourse with a pig, in order to save a kidnapped princess. Turned out to be quite close to reality a year or so later, when it was revealed that the current Prime Minister, in reality, had once allegedly placed his sexual genitals into the skull of a pig.
Yeah.
Lovely. It then proceeded to, Black Mirror then continued with more prescient looks at our possible dark dystopian techno future over the years. And then hit Netflix and continued, and now we've got season 6 with even more tales of dystopian techno woe. And I have been a fan of Black Mirror since it started, pretty much. I've watched every season as it's come out so far, and there's been ups and downs. I thought the last season, season 5, it was only 3 episodes long because they put a lot of effort into making Bandersnatch, that kind of interactive movie, which was dreadful. We watched that together, did we not, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
Absolutely awful thing. Too focused on being like an interactive movie and trying to work out what that was, and less focused on just telling an engaging and interesting story, and just went on forever. Do you remember it was just looping forever? It never ended.
I fell asleep, remember?
Yeah, we fell asleep.
Yeah.
It was bad. And the other episodes there was one called Flying Vipers, which
Striking Vipers.
Striking Vipers, sorry, about people in a fighting game falling in love, a man falling in love with his friend that they played in this weird virtual reality fighting game. I wasn't keen on that. There was one called Smithereens about a taxi driver going absolutely hammers. Didn't like that one at all, even though it featured Tony Scott. No, not Tony Scott. What's his name? Andy Scott? What's he called? Adam Scott? No?
Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott. Moriarty from Sherlock, yeah, great actor, but Smithereens didn't do it for me. But we did have Mary, Kate, and Ashley too. That's not what it was called. What was it called? Miley Cyrus.
Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too.
Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too.
You're having a moment here.
Mary, Kate, and Ashley too. That one.
Yeah.
Great. I really liked that episode. A lot of people aren't as keen on it, but as a big fan of Miley Cyrus and Nine Inch Nails, and those two things getting blended together just was everything I wanted. But overall wasn't keen, so the new season coming out was a bit like, oh God. But then I watched it and ended up enjoying it mostly, but not entirely. How about you, Alex? What's your going into with this?
I watched the first season on Channel 4. And then I watched
our boy Daniel Kaluuya in one of the early episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine. No.
We love Daniel Kaluuya, this.
I do love him. He's incredible. It's amazing. And then I watched the Bandersnatch with you. And then I watched season 6. I haven't watched anything else.
Wow. There's a lot of good stuff for you to discover if you want to discover it.
Yeah, I just find with Black Mirror is so it's so good, and this dystopian thing that they do, that Charlie Brooker does, kind of affects my mood. So, like I want to watch it, but also I know that I just gonna get
Yeah, but you should watch
scared and terrified and annoyed
there
by
are
the
still
world.
some episodes that won't do that as much. That will, like San Junipero, you would like that episode. Mary Kate and Ashley 2 is really good.
That's not what that was called.
You should watch that one.
Okay.
Um,
If
yeah,
they're all on Netflix, I might just start again.
yeah. You should don't rush through them, but I think there's stuff to enjoy there.
Yeah.
So, Joan is awful.
Joan is awful.
Joan is awful. The logline is an average woman is stunned to discover a global streaming platform has launched a prestige TV drama adaptation of her life in which she is portrayed by Hollywood A-lister Salma Hayek.
Yes.
That's the sort of setup for Joan is Awful. Joan, the titular Joan, is played by an actress that I have discussed in the past as being a huge fan of, and her name is Annie Murphy from Schitt's Creek. The cast in this episode is crazy. We've got Michael Cera turns up near the end. Salma Hayek is there. Himesh Patel, who people might know from Tenet and Yesterday. Who else is in there? Lolly Adefope, really funny British comedy actress. Can be seen in Ghosts. Rob Delaney.
I was very surprised to see him.
Yeah, Rob Delaney is turning up. Rob Delaney is in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Is he?
For 5 seconds.
Oh, nice.
But he's there. It's very odd. Who else have we got? Ayo Edebiri from The Bear. We love Ayo Edebiri. Yeah. She turns up. Rich Fulcher from The Mighty Boosh years ago pops up playing a lawyer.
Yes.
A really good cast in this, and it makes sense. Like when the story plays out and you find out exactly what's been going on the entire time. The fact that Annie Murphy is interacting with all these recognisable faces all the way through the episode works in favour of the story that's being told. Because what we discover is that Streamberry, this universe's version of Netflix, has developed an AI generating algorithm that can create stories on the fly and can create realistic lifelike CGI recreations of sequences and just basically create a TV show as it is watched by people. And they have, and as we discover, this is a part of the episode that I was a little bit like rolled my eyes at because it's a bit on the nose, I think. In the terms and conditions, you've agreed that they can use whatever they want.
Yeah.
The thing with that is that would never stand up in court. Like,
no.
That's a thing that's used in dystopian stuff like this a lot, to be like, oh, you didn't realise when you signed the term. But in reality, any court would go, well, nobody would expect that to be in the terms and conditions. It's completely unrealistic. But never mind. She's agreed to allow her life to be used, so and Salma Hayek has agreed to allow her likeness to be used, which is crazy because the actors strike that's happening right now in Hollywood, one of the things that's being argued is that the studios are trying to get actors to agree to have their likeness scanned to be used in perpetuity in things like this.
Yeah,
and Charlie Book, they've literally just done it. Netflix, who are one of the holdouts, part of the AMPTP, has just released a thing criticising it for the thing. Oh, good lord. Anyway, but what we discover, the twist, she ends up meeting Salma Hayek, who is also, because she starts to do things in her life that are then reflected in the TV show adaptation of her life, which she starts to be more and more outrageous to try and annoy Salma Hayek into wanting it to be cancelled, which works. She meets up with Salma Hayek and they agree to team up and try and take down Streamberry, where they break into Streamberry and we discover that we've actually been watching another layer of the show the entire time, and Annie Murphy is another CGI recreated version of the real Joan. Wow. Explained to us by Michael Cera, who references the fact that he is Michael Cera, who has also agreed to let his likeness be used, playing a tech geek in the offices of Streamberry. Wild stuff. What did you think of this episode?
It was okay. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, like, mentioning like the AI thing. I think that's pretty spot on, especially because it's actually happening. But it was a little bit, I don't know. I wanted a little bit more from it. It was good. I like the characters, and Annie Murphy is good in it, and what she does to get Salma Hayek's attention is pretty insane. But I find everybody not very likable either. So I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have to like? Do you have to like people to?
No, 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 no. You don't have to like people. That's fine. I'm watching Succession, so you don't have to like anyone to enjoy a show. Um, uh, it was okay. That's it. I didn't really have like a strong opinion on it. Especially after not having only watched the first season of Black Mirror and kind of like having something like really, really kind of. When I think of Black Mirror, I think something a bit more visceral, something that makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah.
Whilst this made me feel that it was a little bit too much, like you said, is in the terms of condition. Like it's very. I felt like it could have been. It's an interesting concept, but I think it was not. Maybe could have been done better, but I don't know how.
I don't know. I take it more to be like he wasn't trying to do it in the standard Black Mirror way of portraying it as like a dark thriller type of episode. It was more specifically done as a comedy and a more lighter tone than you normally get in Black Mirror. Which I think, having as someone who's watched every episode, I appreciated that this one felt different to standard episodes of Black Mirror. And I read a little interview with the director of the episode, Ali Pankey, who is a comedic director, and was confused at first as to why they had got in touch with her to direct it, because she was like, I can't direct horror. But when she spoke to Charlie Booker, she realised it was, they wanted a comedy episode, and that's kind of why. The director of this episode directed 6 episodes of Feel Good. You like that, don't you? The one with Mae Martin, isn't that Feel Good? Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And Charlotte
like
Ritchie.
Yeah, I like that.
And The Great, the Catherine the Great comedy with Ellie Fanning. What else? And a few other things. But yeah, so I don't know. I liked this one. And partly it's because I'm a simp and I adore Annie Murphy and anything she does. But
that's the thing. I didn't even really find it funny. I just thought it was just... Yeah.
Yeah.
Boring.
Boring. I didn't think it was boring. It was too interesting to be boring, I think. Well, it was only an hour long, and it told a full story. Okay, so that is Joan Is Awful. I have some trivia for you.
Okay.
This comes hot from IMDb.
Ooh.
Now, I thought it was going to be a really good bit of content for our podcast for me to talk to you about the trivia on IMDb, because I thought it would have interesting stuff. Yeah. Turns out it's mostly just explaining references to other episodes of Black Mirror. So you can tell me if this... You're going to give me a rating out of 5 for each piece of trivia I'm going to give you, okay? Scillane Legal is a reference to the character Victoria Scillane from Season 2, Episode 2, White Bear.
Okay. 1.
1, okay. When Mac is scrolling on his phone when he's sitting on the toilet, he scrolls past a tweet from Lacey Pound. Lacey Pound is the main character of Black Mirror Season 3's Nosedive, played by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay. 3.
Good! Why 3?
Well, I guess... I don't know. It's just a reference to somebody that is in that world. I don't know.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next bit of trivia. Features the song Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand, a long-running Black Mirror Easter egg. The track was originally heard in 15 Million Merits when Abby Khan sings it in the bathroom, but has gone on to feature across every Black Mirror season. Season 2's White Christmas, Season 3's Men Against Fire, Season 4's Crocodile, and Season 5's Rachel, Jack and Ashley 2, and can be heard in this episode when Joan walks into a bar to meet Mac.
5.
5?
Yeah.
You found that fascinating, did you? The song?
Yeah, it's a song.
I think you're not taking this game seriously.
I don't know what you're saying.
Buster Burger is a fictional fast food restaurant from the 1986 movie Hamburger the Movie.
2.
Good. I can't. Oh, in the scene where Joan is watching the show at home by herself, she's wearing a blue and white Boney M t-shirt. Boney M is featured prominently in the final episode of this season.
Yes. 4.
4, good, okay. So that's the IMDb trivia. What does the NME have to say? This is interesting. Okay. This episode was originally about a newspaper story. Netflix parody Streamberry wasn't always the focal point of the episode. Brooker says that when the idea first popped into his head, he imagined it in print form. Joan was going to find herself on the front cover of a newspaper, but for minor things like her colleagues not liking the way she chews her food and stuff. Ultimately, Brooker made the change to Global TV Behemoth because he couldn't work out how it was a story.
I think that would have worked better.
Really? What would be the story, though? Why would anybody buy that newspaper? In the sense of, like,
because instead of what I found, so they're living in a totally surveilled. So to for this to happen, you have to live in a totally surveilled. Is it surveilled?
Surveilled world, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally surveilled world, which is fine because we are. But like when she sees when Annie Murphy's Joan sees that she's actually got cameras in her car, like they would have to put cameras in everybody's car unless everybody's got a Tesla or something.
Well, I guess the idea is it's through people's phones. It's almost recording everything through everyone has a phone.
Yeah.
So it's done through that.
Yeah.
Because Annie Murphy's character doesn't necessarily have a camera in her car, right? Because Annie Murphy's character doesn't exist. That's all just CGI. So the original Joan, it might have just been taking it from her phone.
It was just a total immediacy of like Joan was doing something and then it was straight into streaming.
That's the power of quantum computing, Alex. That's a real thing that's coming. They can do it that fast.
Well, cool.
Well, we're going to also rank the season as we go. For this first episode, I think we can both simply say that Joan Is Awful is number 1 currently because we've only discussed one episode.
Yeah, number
1. But I liked it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I just liked seeing things that I recognised, like Annie Murphy and Rich Fulcher and things. And no, I didn't think it was as deep as some episodes of Black Mirror can try to be. But I appreciated the lighter tone of it, and I enjoyed, like, in the end when it turns into a bit of a caper when they're trying to break into the Streamberry headquarters and discover what's going on, and it starts revealing various layers of reality that exist. I enjoyed all of that stuff. I thought it was interesting and funny. I liked Michael Cera popping up. I rolled my eyes a little bit at the scenes with lawyers being like, there's just nothing you can do, because it's a little bit much. I find stuff like that a little bit kind of unbelievable, but I still enjoyed it overall, and I enjoyed watching. I think the first 20 minutes when Joan's life starts to fall apart as people are watching her life play out on TV. I liked that. I liked the domino effect of it all, sort of toppling down, and how, you know, it's a genuine fear that your life might suddenly be dragged out away from you and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And that makes me quite tense. So no, I liked it. I thought it was a good episode.
Cool.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's episode 115 of the Culture Bucket podcast. Join us next week for episode 116, where we'll be discussing the true crime parody thing, Lock Henry.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Love you. Bye. 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 Bye.